Let's talk about you, man.
Okay.
I want to know a little bit more about you, because this is where I can get the deep stuff, you know.
Yes, sir.
Over beers, for some reason,
You
I
know,
don't
you
know,
gotta
man.
have a
It's like
camera
it's like
sometimes.
truth serum. I mean, you don't. Every time we've been,
Where's the
you
beer at?
you hug, but you don't tell me
Where's
the
the
truth.
tequila at? Where's the?
You know, guys, bring out a bottle and 2 shots. We're gonna
Oh,
do this. We're gonna do it right.
now we're gonna do it right. Oh boy.
All right, man. So we're here with Mr. Francisco Franco.
How we doing, baby?
He's, man, one of the baddest Chicano, I say Chicano artists, right?
Of course.
Because, you know, some guys don't.
No, I'm about it. You know me. Stay brown and down all the time, no matter what I do.
So Francisco Franco is doing this year's Dia San Jose Muerto Con, and we've titled this awesome piece of work here,
Yes.
which he's painted in. What was this painted in?
This is an acrylic.
It's an acrylic, right?
Yeah, acrylic painting.
On canvas.
Yeah. We're
Right.
gonna stretch it still.
And we're going to stretch this up and make it look really pretty badass. Hopefully that gets on the camera. If not, we're going to probably put it in the backdrop
Yeah.
on this wonderful
Digitized.
set of ours. And you attended Cal.
Yes, sir. I
You
got
went to
a,
the New York Academy of Arts,
yes,
right?
sir.
And then you led you to the Oxford University Fellowship.
Yeah, we had a fellowship there when we studied there for 3 months. 3 months, and we did we cut open cadavers, and we were taught to under this lady Sarah Simblett, who was a fantastic anatomist and drawer, and she taught us how to use a pencil. Sort of think about the pencil as a scalpel. So just to kind of learn the inner workings of the body. It's a figurative school, so
Wow.
that was really important. Little did I know that later on, I was going to be painting bones probably for the rest of my career.
Became a central figure.
Yeah,
in
it
your
was just
design,
it was
in your
just to
painting.
kind of the underlying structure of forms, and it became like a major character, a major part of what I do as an artist today. So I find that interesting that I actually literally went from that stuff to this kind of like there was just a real easy step from that to doing this kind of Chicano Day of the Dead stuff that I'm known for today.
No, Cal and the New York Academy. Or
Yes.
were they both design?
No, Cal was fine arts, but it was very conceptual. Practice of fine arts,
Right.
but very conceptual. I studied philosophy. I got a degree there as well. I mean, a minor in that.
Wait, so you have
A minor in
in
philosophy.
No wonder you get deep on all your
Got
stuff,
to, man.
Dude.
That's the way it is. You have to be. That's to me. That's what painting is. It's really a philosophy, but it's doing it through paint. Instead of writing a paper, you do a painting. You're kind of working out a lot of these ideas that are out in the world through painting. That's the way I see it. In 1999, I graduated from Berkeley, and that's where I got my bachelor's degree. And then I transferred immediately over to the New York Academy of Art, and literally there a couple of weeks in the school. That's 9/11 happened there. I saw it with my eyes. I saw the second plane hit, and I was like 8 blocks from there.
From it.
Yeah,
you,
man.
You speak to that, right? The fact that inspired. Well,
I mean, if you wanna call it inspiration,
right? But
It was my way of dealing with the kind of the idea of death. Watching, because I was close enough to see people jump to make the decision whether I'm going to jump or burn to death in
Right.
a way. And you watching these people just kind of make that decision. And I was close enough I could tell if it was a woman or a guy jumping.
Wow.
It's only 8 blocks, and it was just looking straight up. And that kind of messed with my head in a way that I didn't think that it was going to. I mean, for one, it was hard to wrap your head around what was happening. I had just moved to New York. And I grew up with a lot of, I had a lot of friends that were killed, gang stuff, pretty young, tragically. And I kind of felt like they pushed me along, like they were living through them, or I was kind of living for them. So it gave me a lot of, kind of balls to go out and do the.
right.
But seeing that, and kind of that was for nothing, and those people making those choices really messed with my head. Kind of gave me, I want to say that it left me with a little bit of post-traumatic stress, nothing diagnosed, but enough for it to make me wonder why we're not freaking out or thinking about death, because we're going to die too,
So
and
the trauma
it
of
didn't
that
count.
drive some of the all these other Muertos pieces you've done are awesome.
Thank you.
You know, you got the Frida Kahlo, you got the Marilyn Monroe,
Yeah.
you got
Selena,
the Selena ones,
Richie,
Richie, all of them, and
Yeah.
they're.
tragic. People
They're-
died tragically young also.
So is there an irony in that? Is that
Well,
and
yeah.
then is it cathartic for you?
For
to
me, it
do
was
this?
cathartic, and it started with the Chachos de Dia de los Muertos mural that I did, the long El Gran Fandango that was inspired from Posada.
Right.
And he, when they asked me to do the mural, they goes, "You can do what you want." And people were always asking me, "Are you a Chicano artist?" And I was like, "Well, hell's that supposed to mean? I'm Chicano. Whatever I do
Right,
should
right,
be." But
right.
I never took it as a stance or thought about it. And so it was supposed to be my one. Okay, if people want to ask me what my ethnicity or what my background is, they can always go look at that thing.
Mhm.
And little did I know that would be the work that kind of guided the kind of language that I would be speaking and the kind of art that I would be doing from that point on. And it was just people wanted more of it, and I just felt like I was the guy for it.
Right.
But back to that, the that's what made it cathartic. Actually, painting that mural was very healing for me because I realized that, you know, I was wondering, you know, why aren't we freaking out about, you know, we're going to be dead, you know, we're going to die. Why aren't we talking about this?
Right.
And we kind of sweep it under the rug, especially here in the United States. We sanitize everything, you know, and in Mexico it's not the same. And so doing that piece made me think about doing the research for it, that we're going to be dead, you know, most of the time here that Earth exists and
Right,
humanity
right.
is. So the way we're already dead. So might as well, what are we doing thinking about it? If it's inevitable, so we should be enjoying life. So that's why they're drinking and eating.
Right.
Much like this, you know, the Dia de los Muertos
Right.
celebration.
Celebration of life.
It's a celebration of life. I mean, some people might think it's morbid, but I don't. That's why there's all this color and this humor that I associate with the work that I do. So I feel like we need to think about it. And then that I think helps us enjoy, figure out what our real priorities are. You know, like what we're really going to, what are we here for in this limited amount of time?
What's the inspiration behind the piece you did?
The
Because
style.
because there's a style that
Yeah.
you know you presented, and I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. That's different.
Well, I was trying to, my inspiration was using them not as inspiration, the guys we just mentioned, because they had covered it, you know.
Right,
You had the kind of
colors,
Frida,
yeah.
the intense color, you had the red that was taken away, you had the San Jose one, you had John Huerta, which, you know, had the male and the female.
Right.
Then you had the basic logo that we used at the beginning, right?
Right, that was just, yeah.
Yeah, but still. So I was like, how do I do it and make it look like something that's mine, that's not theirs, right? So I went with the opposite color with the blue. I was thinking about different colors, but what hit me, I was in Mexico City, and we had looked at a lot of talavera, which was the clay pottery that comes out of I can't even remember right now. I wrote it all down somewhere. But anyways, it's from a certain part of Mexico, and it's basically the tile that has just the white with the blue. It's got hundreds of years of.
The kind of monochromatic look.
Yes,
Is
yeah, I mean
what
they
we
do
just-
add colors.
Yeah,
but
but
at its true essence, they use that cobalt
Right.
blue, and so they got a specific language that they use in the pottery. So I kind of took that language and made it into a muerta. I also, if you look at my work, there's kind of a pin-up rockabilly thing that kind of.
I like that. That was the '50s kind of.
Yeah, that I associate. It's not really like, I'm not trying to revive that, but it's just something that I think is very. You see in San Jose.
It's relevant.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to put that angle on it, so she's got the hairdo. So I made it more of a pin-up talavera. I didn't want it to look like it came out of Mexico either, so I wanted to bring some kind of Chicano-esque aspect without making it look too, you know, gangstered out or whatever, but
Right.
still represent our cultura. And I thought that would be a good idea and different from what they were doing.
So when people look at your work, you know, what do you want people to take away from your work?
I-
I mean, I know I love the work. I've loved it from day one.
I just want people to kind of, you know, do that super cool thing that you kind of want to just be a part of. You know what I mean? The super relevant, super just edge. I think I try to keep an edge to my work, and I feel like that's when people see my work, they feel that sense of now. You know, whether it's how I light it up or what subject matter I might use, even if it's kind of vintage, like I still kind of put some kind of modern twist. So I like to keep that kind of edge. I think people, you know, it's always, as long as you're there, you're always kind of associated with things that are cool. You know,
Right.
This is a super cool festival, and I kind of wanted to make sure it was up to date with
Right.
what you're doing and what we're about basically.
And this is something that I've actually built the festival around the artist colony.
Right,
That
right.
was the philosophy from day one. Is that I've always seen festivals and seen artists
Yeah.
next to the knick-knack guy who went down into Tijuana and bought, you know,
Bought a bunch of knick-knack.
of stuff for, you know, a few bucks and came and sold it, you know, at a little bit of a markup.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff's art. We know that. But
Right.
but for the most part, you know, you guys are always kind of mixed in with everyone else as if you were that. And
Right.
so my philosophy as one of those, what would you call me? Not an aspiring muralist, but frustrated muralist. Because
Right.
I never went beyond the 4 or 5
You got
murals
your
I
vision,
painted.
though. You got
Right.
your vision.
And so I always thought, you know, the artists should have their own space, because if they're together, you know, then people will get it. They'll see that, wait, he's got a painting for $800,000, man.
Yeah.
What is this? Something at a festival. And then they see the next guy, wait, his piece is 600. And then they get it. Well, these aren't just guys. These are serious artists. So, you know, what is that the artist colony
Bring.
you know, bring, and what is it about? I mean,
Well,
what is
those
it
were
to
like
you?
a collection of artists, right? When we hooked up with this, that I brought a bunch of them.
Right.
There were artists who happened to be the same age here. Most of us here in Northern California. kind of doing the same kind of muerto-esque kind of Chicano style art that we were doing, and I had known a bunch, and so we kind of brought them all together. I mean, for me, it's just we're adding to the culture. We're not just taking, and I mean, we might be being inspired by, I would say, more of the culture, the Dia de los Muertos culture, as opposed to just rehashing things that are already there, that we keep. And I think that's really important, that we keep the culture relevant and alive for the next, generation of young and old, people who come along. So and we're real working artists, and I think that, and we all kind of have a similar vision. Like, again, we're all kind of the same age, I want to say, most of us. And I think it gives just breathes fresh air into an old tradition, which I think is a beautiful idea.
Well, and the whole colony means that the traditions evolve. That was the philosophy in Dia, was this idea that the traditions have to evolve.
And that's how
they can't stay stagnant. And
that's how they stay
relevant.
And you
guys bring that evolution.
Yeah, and that's how they stay relevant, I think, by continuing the tradition and adding fresh air to the thing for the next generation. Creating that interest that I think is really popular here now, especially in the U.S. Is something I think Dia de los Muertos is a necessity here in this culture, this environment that we live in, because we don't think about death very much, and we don't celebrate our ancestors. So I think it's a very healing thing that, and it's catching on.
This is one gentleman from National Hispanic University who helped kind of really start things off. He was one of the professors there, and he would always say, to be able to live, you have to dance with death.
Yeah.
And he said, and it was a cool little statement that he always said, and it was his kind of thing that says, that's why we do this. So thank you for joining me today, baby.
No, for sure.
And
thank you for having me.
We will shot of tequila to hit the
road.
road.
Yeah, let's do this.
I mean, first little shot of tequila.
Yes, sir.
To make it on.
Awesome.
So Dia de los Muertos, Dia San Jose.
2018.
October 20th. It's moving to Cesar Chavez Plaza downtown. And this year we have a full-blown parade coming up with floats, lowriders, the whole chingazo. So, again, salud.
Suave bailan rumba y